Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to round one of the RaceFace.Pro Endurance GT3 and GT2 Championship. My name is Stephen Koenig. Glad to have you guys here, and we are going to be doing 24 hours of Nordschleife. Yes, you heard me right. We're heading out to Nürburgring, we're heading out to Germany, and we're going to have some fun for 24 hours of non-stop racing. This is going to be an absolute banger of a race, and I think our drivers are going to have to push themselves a little bit harder than they think. So, that being said, we're going to be having a great time. It's good to have you all here and ready to have a phenomenal event. Now, there has been a bit of a difficult start to the race where our drivers had to deal with some unfortunate problems where we had cameras down, we had time off due to servers, but we are looking forward to going racing right here in the world of Assetto Corsa Competizione. And it does look like even some of our software is still battling to get fired up, but we will still try and bring you all the action right here at RaceFace.Pro as our cars line up on the line, getting ready to rock and roll for their race. So just trying to get things up and order. As said, there was the international Kunos servers that went down for one reason or another. We're not 100% sure, but we're up and going once again, ready to have a bit of fun out on the circuit. So, taking a look at the cars, we've got Bernard Barkhuizen out in first place, Alan Patterson, Crystals, Kunder Passy. We have got Volsking, Skuman, Randabel, Hannaberry, all getting ready to have a bit of fun as we get to go racing. Bit of a brake drag by our leader as he tries to make his way around. Just trying to get some camera controls up and going, because at the moment we are running a little bit on the skew side. As everyone jockeying for position, 24 hours of Nordschleife. Not going to be an easy feat for any of the drivers. They're going to have to work out what's going to work for them on this 25-kilometer circuit. We'll try and bring you better coverage as we zoom out to try and give you a little bit of the start of the race. Anytime camera. And green light racing as we make our way around the circuit. It seems like all camera controls seem to be a little bit out of whack at the moment, as Barkhuizen leads the charge. The rest of the field trying to claw their way through. Will be trying to make up a bit of time. Do apologize for the odd camera at the moment, as it looks like all camera controls have ceased to even function right now to give us our TV cams in spectator mode. We are trying our utmost best to bring you all of that as quick as possible. as our leader makes their way on to the old straight. Looking forward to try and get some sort of control back in as we jump on board. As he makes his way around the circuit, our drivers hoping to get a little bit more pace. Now this is 25 kilometers of circuit racing, the first 24-hour that RaceFace.Pro is hosting, and it has come with its own challenges, that is for certain. As we sit on board with our leader making his way around the circuit, trying to get a little bit more of a run. Now, once we're on the old track where we see now, our drivers will have to really start focusing and dialing into where those apexes are, little lifts as they make their way around the circuit to try and get it all organized. Down into third gear, would be down into second. If you want to carry it through on second, not to get enough too much wheel spin, bring back on the throttle and bring your throttle all the way back up. Trying to get back with some camera controls. Going to enjoy some onboard action with our leader at the moment, Bernard Barkhuizen, with Alan Patterson in second place, Chris Stalls in second, third, Kieran Duplessis in fourth, fifth is on full skiing, followed by Skuman, Hanneberry, Randabel, Bergstrom, Kutsia in the lone GT2 car. Jason Kutsia is going to be chasing down Byron. He's in a GT3. Mossat in 13, Zitzman in 14, Altman, Buerta, Myberg, and Heller, our international contingent so far in the race. And it looks like we managed to get some controls. Woohoo! So as said, welcome to the 24-hour of Nürburgring here at Nordschleife. We got Bernard Barkhuizen out in front for the Onless KSR Endurance team. Alan Patterson for PWSR currently running in second place. Then we got Chris Stalls running in third place for Delta Negative. Then we've got JW Forschking for Helldivers Green coming in. Werner Skuman for the Pandasti Infiltrate 1 car as he makes his way around the circuit. Mark Henneberry chasing him down. Loic Randabel currently in 7th place. Connor Bergstrom in 8th. Byron Kutsia in the GT2 KTM. And it's good to see a GT2 coming into the racing fray. For anyone that doesn't know what a GT2 is, they're generally more powerful with a little bit more aerodynamic advantage and a lot more expensive. The KTM being one of my favorite ones to look at, but also much prefer the KTM GT4. Seems like having a little bit of a difficult time trying to keep it all together. Byron Kutzer coming from the world of iRacing. Jason Farmer of Team LTR getting cheered on by the LTR team. It's good to have everyone making their way around. Jaco Kutzer of the Team Try Hard Bandits trying to make his way through. Jason Farmer, Jean Mazot for the Venom Nords. Ludwig Zitzman also making his way around the circuit, followed by Quan Duplessis of the Hybrid Racing Pro Endurance team. Altman Buerta, fellow commentator, and also having a bit of fun out there for the Team Kerygma Racing. Hansi Myberg of a Team Try Hard RaceFace. Now, Hansi Myberg will be doing this solo as he makes his way around the track. Hansi will be taking a break a little bit into the race, just try and get himself organized. He's got a bit of a family due, so he will be down the order. And then we have got the Stake Ellen Racing team. This is Andre Hiller from Germany making his way around. But out in front, Aldida pulling an 8-second gap over Crystals, where Volskink has come into play. It does look like Alan Patterson starting to drop down the order and doing everything he can to make up some time. Remember, it's 24 hours of racing, so that means what you do now isn't going to affect you too much in the future. But that being said, you've got to watch your fueling. Go and see how that's going to work out for you. If you worked out your fueling to be about 8 stops in 24 hours or 15 stops in 24 hours, you're going to have to try and figure out how you're going to do that. Whether you're going to save fuel now in the early portions of the race, or you're going to continue it out a little bit longer down the line. As our drivers make their way through, Loic Randabel trying to keep on the gas and do everything he can to chase down. Connor Bergstrom has got the GT2. That's 2 different classes into the mix there. So Connor will be taking a look in his mirrors saying, okay, I see Byron Kutzer in the GT2. He's not as quick through the corners. I'm going to try and keep the pace up and try and get a little bit closer. Current time set by Bernard Barkhuizen is a 8-minute 18.8 around the circuit. Now we expect to see cars get into roughly the 17-minute mark before they go racing absolutely full tilt, and that may change the entire complexity of the race itself. So everyone having to just be a little bit more cautious, think, okay, what's the long game here? How are they going to make their way around the circuit? Especially for Byron Kutzer, the lone GT2 car wanting to go and make a bit of an impact. Crystals going and keeping ahead of Volskink, who's trying to close down. They are down to 1.5 seconds between them. Patterson has also dropped back 1.4 seconds off the back of him. Werner Skuman onto the back of him. So Werner Skuman's going to be trying to close down the gap of the Pandastri Infiltrate team and hoping that it will be enough to score a 4th position for the early portions of the race. for this 24-hour endurance race that we are going to be keeping a very close eye on, and also just keeping an eye on all the drivers of who's going to be able to stand up through it all, who's going to be able to be at the top of the charts. Now, previously, while we were waiting, and I do apologize for the delay, we did have the servers going down, and unfortunately, that was pretty much that for the first little bit, so I do apologize for a bit of a delayed start. Not ideal circumstances, but everything happens for a reason. So, Fullskink now closing down onto Crystals, doing everything he can to try and get going, and we've got our spectators right around the circuit watching all the action live at home and also out on track. And we got Umpy going and saying, how's it? Who needs work on a Saturday? Let's go racing. I firmly agree on that one. Tons and tons of fantastic racing we're going to be having. So Team Helldivers that we've got currently on circuit on our screen is made up of JW Fullskink, Conrad Fullskink, Heinrich de Wet, Jean Leroux, and Jaco Nadir. 5-driver lineup for the car. They're hoping that that's going to be enough to claw their way to victory. Not going to be an easy one. We've also got Dylan Hall from Sarko going and saying, how's it? Bernard Rayner, Ian Coe, Nico, Ben Killerman, all giving a bit of a shout out here today. Crystal's trying to keep Fullskink at bay. Chris is going to have to go defensive, taking a very tight line into the carousel, trying to get on the gas a little bit earlier. Fullskink a little bit high off the carousel, will lose out a lot of drive. Got to be so careful with that one. And that does drop him down a little bit, allowing Alan Patterson to slowly claw down some gap to him. Our Crystals of the Delta Negative team going and pairing up with Johan Kleinans and Ethan Lacuna, who are looking to share the car and will be keeping a very close eye on their teammate, saying, all right, buddy, let's think about the long game here. Let's think what we need to do in our race right down to the run. A little bit of unsteadiness coming under the wheels of Fullskink, who's doing everything he can to try and close up on him. Not able to do it. But taking a little bit further back, we've got Jaco Kutzer onto the back of Byron Kutzer. So Byron Kutzer trying to keep it of Jaco Kutzer as they make their way through the GT2 KTM. Now feeling the pressure from the GT3 McLaren. And the Team Tryhards will be hoping to get ahead of that lone GT2 that's making its way around the track. I've got to take my hats off. Everyone's been enjoying the GT2s, but too afraid to take it out onto track and really give it everything they've got. So this time, we've got Byron and Devin Ellis of the Cyberdine Motorsports will be looking to keep it all together. So Devin Ellis and Byron Couture coming from the world of iRacing, picking one of the faster cars to try and get into the fight as they catch up to Conor Bergstrom, who is right onto the back of fellow teammate Werner Skuman. So Werner Skuman not having an easy drive. You can see a lot of damage to that front nose, not helping him through it. Crystals keep ahead of Fullskink as they head onto the long straight. This is like a highway of note as the drivers make their way through. Alan Patterson trying to keep ahead of Mark Henneberry in the big Bentley, getting chased down by Loic Randall. So Loic will be trying everything he can to keep in the slipstream. Mark Henneberry, though, is going to look to go on the outside. Second guesses it, trying to utilize the toe a little bit further. Alan Patterson going to hold the inside line as they make their way down the corners to go. Keep it absolutely pinned. Don't want to lift off just as yet. Oh, Mark having to brake a fraction early to bring the car back in as Alan kept it beautifully pinned around what would be the final corner of our old Nordschleife circuit before you head on to the new GP's Strecker track. And Mark Henneberry feeling the pressure from Loic right behind him. Loic's going to go around the outside, going to go a little bit late on the brakes. will have a lot of swing into the hairpin, but Mark going and running out a little wide, try and close him off side by side. These two go. The Ominous Gaming Endurance team battling it out with Slick Racing as they go door to door with one another, having a phenomenal time, really pushing their way a bit further up in the order. Always great to see, but Loic just managing to stretch the gap out. Werner Skuman a little bit further down. Byron Kutzer dealing with Connor. Now Connor managed to get ahead of Jaco. Now will be looking to try and put a huge amount of pressure onto the back of Byron as he makes his way around the circuit. Mark losing out that little bit of drive, looks to keep on the pressure, but back up to our running order. Crystals in second place, battling out with Wolfgang. Now they are racing just as hard as they would in a normal sprint race, but they'll have to keep a very close eye on the timer. 23 hours and 41 minutes as Clenons in the pit says at this point the race timer is extremely daunting on you. Is it something you really want to go for right now, or are you going to rather just wait it out, try and keep the car as fresh as possible? Now this is also where we're going to see something very interesting. Now, for many people that don't know, Assetto Corsa Competizione does have chassis flex, something we don't experience in our normal racing of an hour and 30 minutes, but after 24 hours it will become exacerbated. That means your whole handling characteristics will change as the race progresses, so you want to keep that in mind. The more you hit the curb, the more you weaken the chassis, the more understeer and oversteer that's going to be affected come the end of the races. Plus, you're going to have driver fatigue kicking into play, and that's also going to throw you down the order. So a lot of our drivers will have to be well aware of that situation, and the teams will have to take it into consideration while they're doing all their calculations in the background of where they're going to pit, when are they going to get into the pits, who's going to be able to stand on the running. Loic keeping ahead of Mark Canterbury, who's now onto the pressure of Alan Patterson. Alan, now we do know that the Pattersons have been battling with their internet connections of late, and it seems like the blipping in and out of existence is starting to be that little gremlin. Their main game, their main role for this is to just get to the finish line. No matter what, run it to the end. You want to cross the line. Loic hoping to keep ahead of Mark Herbury, having to just lift slightly as he maintains pressure onto the back of Alan Patterson as he blips in and out of existence. 17 cars starting this race, 24 hours of action around this wonderful circuit of the Nordschleife 24, combination of the Nordschleife ring and also the Nürburg GP Strecke circuit. Out in front though, Bernard Barkhuizen opening up the gap, has got a 16-second gap over second and third, who are chasing each other down, nose to tail at the moment, hoping that they will be able to get a little bit more of a run. Loic Randebelt, Alan Patterson still charging with one another, trying to figure out what's going to work, how they're going to be able to climb up. And ultimately, the main goal is who is going to finish out this race ahead of one another. The lone GT2 lying in 8th place, looking to put a good solid impact. Also our 17th car, Andre Hiller, is our international, the Stakelum Racing, hoping to keep it all together as they muscle their way around the circuit. Hansi Myberg lying in 16th position. Altman Wertner in Team Kerygma Racing. Got some damage on the car. He's going to look to try and keep it all together as long as possible. And Wertner we'll hear from a little bit later. He's one of our RaceFace.Pro commentators that goes and streams our gold and out on Thursday nights, which we will be starting off with our GT3 Racing Championship. 2nd of May coming up soon out on SimGrid. Go and sign up. Link is in the description if you would like to be a part of all the racing action. We do have live timing up as well, given by our PitLink software. So feel free to go down the description, click on it, and also join up on our Discord as we look forward to having chats with you guys in and out through the race. We will be chatting to all the drivers and teams, getting their feel of long distance racing around this very, very technical circuit that has really gripped the hearts of many. And I look forward to seeing more and more drivers getting in to be a part of the racing action as time goes on. Full-skink of the Helldivers going after Delta Negative as they carve their way through. 2 laps done so far as the timer ticks on. 23 minutes of the race completed. And there's still plenty of time. They will be going through a day-night cycle as well, so expect things to get very, very dark. Start relying on those headlights, hoping that it's going to work for you. This is where you're going to also start working out your engine mappings. Now, a lot of people just see that engine map 1, that's the fastest of the engine maps. You will be just getting everything you can to try and get a little bit more pace underneath you. So our drivers will have to bear that in mind as they carve their way around the circuit, hoping that it will be enough. Side-by-side action as Full-skink gets ahead of Chris, who actually lets him by a little bit, saying, look, I don't want to get into too much of a fight, rather back out of it and hope that I can close up the distance a little bit later on. Save a bit of fuel now, or start working on the strategy early on that the rest of the race becomes a flat-out race. It does look like he's given the gap and will be getting a little bit more movement. So good to see drivers hoping to move their way forward as they soldier on in this race. So let's see how it is going to work for all our drivers as they blast around the circuit. Not going to be an easy one though. I do think that everyone's going to have to work out how they're going to do this. What is going to be the idea in this monumental race? So, as Full-skink is out ahead of the rest of the pack, Crystals, and that looks to be Randall. So what happened to... No, Bernard Barkhuizen... Never mind, Bernard Barkhuizen has disconnected by the looks of it. So Bernard Barkhuizen, who was leading by nearly 19 laps, or 19 seconds, has now disappeared into oblivion. And that has given the position to Full-skink and Chris Stoll. So for our top running car, it looks like he is out of the running for now. Something has gone on with that car. And unfortunately, it is turning into a monster run. And it does look like the number 6 car of Conor Bergstrom trying to keep it going. This Byron Couture trying to keep it going. Conor Bergstrom also making up a bit of time, hoping that he will close up the distance. Werner Skuman in the pits, and it does look like Barkhuizen in the pits as well. As Tim the cameraman having a little bit of a heart attack there, trying to get himself all sorted out and just get to grips with all the racing that's going on. This is going to be a proper challenge for our drivers as they look to try and move forward in this race. going. Alright, and also we're going to have some fun today because we get to bring in some of the voice notes that are coming in from our crowd members. So yes, we will be able to hear Game Crash for car 667. So Barclay's giving us a bit of thoughts on what happened there. So we do have our first note from the spectators out to all the drivers, and then is the team leader of the Pandassi team. Let's see if we can bring it through for everyone to listen out and hear.
Hey Steven, Xavier here from Pandassi Esports. Just want to give a big shout out to both our teams. Currently one team sitting in 7th and the other in 9th. Can't wait to see what they can do. Really excited. Good luck to all the teams on the grid today. Good first few laps here. A lot of good racing. We've got a GT2 in front of us here. We're going to see what we can do about him. Good luck to all the teams. Bye-bye.
Good to hear. Good to hear, Xavier. That's going to be a very interesting one there. Giving a bit of support out to the fellow team, saying, listen, we've got a good run out. So it's always fantastic to hear that guys are able to talk, and that's what we love to hear. So for all the spectators, we do have a bit of lines open to have a chat and to send a few messages out to our drivers. So feel free to go and have a chat to us. See that 81, unfortunately for me to get that livery, seems like they did not upload it to the likes of Awesome Sim liveries, where we did go right before the race, update, and there he is. Gene Massot of Venom Nords. That is car 81, so it does look like we got his livery as they make their way around the track. So the Venom team hoping to make a bit of an impact here tonight, well today, in this 24-hour race. Hunter Myberg in the pits, Barkhazen now back out after an unfortunate disconnect or a game crash that dropped him out of the running. So he's going to have to make up a huge amount of time. Jason Farmer onto the back of Connor Bergstrom. So the LTR, the Luxury Time Racing, will need to go and fight it out against the Pandassi team of Connor Bergstrom, who's currently behind the wheel of the car, looking to try and get a little bit more up the road. Duplessis of the Hybrid Racing and Enduro, as it does look like Jason Farmer off into the dirt. That is going to kill out his drive. Going to allow Hybrid Racing to go around the outside. Quan getting a beautiful drive around. So, well, I keep getting the name wrong. He said it was just call him Q. So Q going and showing Bond how it's exactly done as he makes his way around the outside. Nice and easy. Jean Leroux saying Helldiver livery was uploaded just before the race. It just seems like a little bit too late. Well, we will be having a bit of a time break, so the broadcast will go down at 6 o'clock and return just after 8. There will be that short little intermission break, and then we'll carry on with the rest of our broadcast of the 24-hour endurance race right here at RaceFace.Pro for the GT3, GT2 endurance. I will re-upload the Awesome Sim liveries, so we will get that livery back on if it has been put onto Awesome Sim livery. So do not fret, Jean Leroux, there will be a time. As mentioned, we will have a bit of downtime from roughly about 20 past 6 to about just after 8, where unfortunately there will not be a live broadcast for that short 2-hour stint, but from now and right the way through, we will be having the broadcast out for you guys to see all the racing action, following all the racing action, and be a part of the show. Connor Bergstrom ahead of Duplessis. Jason Farmer trying to make up some time as well, doing everything they can to try and close down the distance. Volsking now in front with 1.6 crystals of the Delta Negative team, trying to close up the gap as well. So awesome to see the drivers pushing themselves that little bit harder, hoping that they can gain just a fraction more time throughout the race As said, we will be having a bit of a chat with all our different teams and drivers in our interview room out on the Discord. We will also have messages coming through like what we had with Xavier of the Pandassi team, just giving a bit of a shout out to his fellow drivers, and also going and having a chat to all the sim racers out there in this phenomenal fight. So taking a look at the driving standing so far, we have got the Helldivers in first place, Delta Negative in second, followed by the Honest Endurance team, Mark Henry of Slick Racing, PWSR 24 chasing him down, True Racing, that is the lone GT2. And we are back with the race about that. It looks like we had a quick drop in connection, unfortunately. Not 100% sure why the internet line gone and dropped out like that. So apologies to everyone at home. But we are back with all the racing action as it stands. This is definitely going to be a 24-hour for everyone, it seems. So, out in front, JW Folskog, followed by Crystals. In second place, Granabel, followed by Mark Hebry, Alan Patterson, Byron Couture, Kieran Duplessis, Conor Bergstrom, Jason Farmer, Ludwig Zitzman, Jean Mossot, Jaco Hutzer, Werner Skuman, Alfred Buerter, Hansi Mayberg. Andre Hiller is also unfortunately out further down, and we got Bernard Barkhuizen rounding out our field, who was leading at one point. Unfortunately, that all changed in a matter of seconds. So we do have some races and getting caught out. Hunter Myberg going and saying that he's just going out for a photo shoot at the moment, so he will be stepping out of the car. As said, he is the only solo entrant in a 24-hour race, and that is going to be a proper run for him. Our drivers will have to figure out how this is going to work, who's going to be able to gain a bit of time here and make up the distance. Volkswagen currently leading out the pack, will be hoping to close down on a victory as we will get into the first hour of the race. That's when we expect to see our first pit stops. And it will be a difficult one for every one of our drivers who look to try and get ahead. Souls currently in second place, losing down 2.5 seconds. Duplessis a little bit ahead of Conor Bergstrom, who is getting chased down by Luxury Time Racing Jason Farmer. So the Pandacity infiltrate two team, hoping to get a little bit more on the gas and move his way back up through the order. We're hoping that it's going to be enough to power his way through. So it's good to see the drivers still giving everything that they got with all the fighting up ahead. 24 hours of racing to go. Right here at the RaceFace.Pro GT3, GT2 Endurance Round 1. And this is only one of many throughout the year. We will be having different types of endurance races, starting off with the 24-hour, and why not at Nordschleife. Now, this was a bit of a change because originally it was meant to be a 6-hour of Monza. It then got moved into a 24-hour of Nordschleife after the DLC dropped, and everyone went absolutely mad for the green hell, hoping that that will be enough to gain a bit of victory. So our drivers will be moving their way around the circuit, trying to get a little bit more of a run. And I see, got a message from Jean Leroux, just going and asking about their livery. Don't worry, livery will get back on soon as if we do a server reset, or between 6 and 8 we will also go and get the livery back on. So don't stress, don't fret, it will all be back and running. JW Volshank of Helldivers ahead of Delta Negative, still opening the gap as it stands. Jason Farmer now moving his way up, currently lying in 8th place, chasing down the likes of Duplessis as Conor Bergstrom goes and loses out a bit of the drive. So let's see if we can go back roughly 30 seconds and see, did he get it all out of shape to lose that little bit of time? It was well before then that he lost the time, unfortunately. A very difficult circuit. Oh, and also just getting a tremendous off track as he got a little bit too early on the power and just had the car pushing a fraction too hard, and very easy to just lose the car. So LTR now moving up through the order. Duplessis trying to make up a bit of time on the GT2 ahead of him of Byron Couture. Byron hoping that to take the KTM, the lone GT2 car, to victory. I gotta say, looking stunning in the process. If I had to choose between the KTM GT4 or the likes of the KTM GT2, I would go lean on the GT4 more, just purely on the look of it, a bit more stocky, a bit more futuristic, out of shape, but the sharp angles of the new one is going to be a monster of note around the track. But also, being a reasonably new car, drivers are having to relearn what the setups are, how it's going to work, and especially around this track, once you've got your setup all hooked in, it is just all about powering it down to the victory. So Duplessis of the Hybrid Racing now trying to get onto the back of the GT2 that's got immensely more power, will be keeping in the tow, hoping that maybe, just maybe, he can prove that being the biggest, baddest car is not always the leading chance. Got a bit of a stealth livery at this point in black to go and chase down the big orange KTM ahead of him, as they're fighting for overall track position as it stands. So monumental running there, but unfortunately not going to have the legs compared to the GT2 that will accelerate and get closer and closer to the likes of Alan Patterson of the PWSR team. Now Alan trying to just keep it all in check, will be hoping on a good result for him. Now remember, they originally just wanted to come in and just finish the race, not go any more than that. But now it's on the cards. Lying in 5th place, they were up at the front. Alan Patterson currently in the car. He will be joined by Darren Miller, Kieran Patterson, and Tyler Humphreys of Angry Racing going and joining in with them. So it's good to see that Tyler Humphreys looking to put in the fight and teaming up with a slightly different team that he's not used to running with. So it'll be interesting to see how the driver combination between them will work out. Duplessis of the hybrid racing looking to try and move their way up through the order, as currently Duplessis behind the wheel with Tinas Buerta, Fafiers and Daniel Rowe will be joining in the car as well, as they look to move themselves forward in this monumental drive up to the sharp end of the field. A little bit further back, Ludwig Zitzman and Jean Mozart of Venom Nords going and chasing down the EBB and Flow car as they make their way around the track. This little Honda trying to show that it's not out of action just as yet. One of our only Hondas that is racing. The majority of the field taken up by the Ferraris. Second to that would be our McLarens. Then we have got the lone cars, so the BMW, the Porsche, the Bentley and the Honda, as they are not as favored compared to the likes of the Ferraris. They're a little bit more stable, a little bit more put together, and drivers are able to get themselves used to the cars. Byron running over the curbs a little bit too hard there, allows Duplessis to get right onto the back of him. And Duplessis knows that he can make up time through the corners compared to the GT2 just ahead of him, and will be doing his utmost best, closing up 0.4 of a second, trying to get a little bit more drive. Byron Kutzer watching that rearview mirror like an absolute hawk at the moment, as he sees a big Ferrari barreling down, trying to chase him down, hoping to get past. Not going to be an easy run of note. Going to have to dig deep on this one. Does have the straight line speed to keep away, but when it comes to cornering, seems to be braking a little bit too hard and dropping down the order a lot faster than one plans to. And Duplessis looking to just make a phenomenal effort to get past and just keep into the tow. Really good to see drivers mixing it up, trying out two different things, also to see different spec vehicles coming into play. I know that the GT2s not as favored, the TCRXs are not as favored, and GT4s, but those will be some brilliant cars to see coming on to a 24-hour of Nürburgring, Nordschleife 24, having the GT3s, GT4s, GT2s, and TCRX cars. Why not throw in the Porsche Cup cars right here on Nürburgring? That would be a tremendous amount of fun, I would think, in the future. You know, it's just putting a flea out there, a stone in one shoe, to think about the long run. Now bear this in mind, this is the first long enduro that RaceFace.Pro is having, and big thank you to SA Lube coming and sponsoring, being on board for the race. And you know, it's phenomenal to see that SA Lube not only originally just sponsored out in the RaceFace with the F4s being the title sponsor and getting called the SA Lube F4 Championship. They're going and pushing further into the world of Assetto Corsa Competizione. They're pushing a little bit further into the world of iRacing, and possibly more in the future right here at RaceFace.Pro in the joint partnership to make things go even better as they charge their way around and make a name not only in the real world of 20 years plus experience of being the leading distributor of Castrol, ensuring that even in your homes you are sorted. Even now, I bet you a lot of your homes currently have SA Lube currently with you. So taking a look at a change of position as Jean Venom gets ahead of Ludwig. Ludwig going and opening up the gap, allowing him to get by and make his way through. But the conversation's getting started. Mark Hanbury currently out in 4th place in the big Bentley, a car that was loved by many in the past, but due to Kunos's VOP system did put it on the back burner, eventually retiring the car out of competition, brought back by custom VOPs, and it's good to see that it's out there. Mark going and racing tremendously throughout different series in the big Bentley, has lots of confidence in the car, it works for him, and he's going to show it not only in sprint races but now into enduros as well. So the slick racing, hoping to get a little bit more pace underneath it. And he is teaming up with Chris Heineke as a two-man team for the race. So expect to see this Bentley going for quite some time. The drivers will be worn out. One of the very few two-man racing teams, as we've only got 3 that are there. That is going to be our GT2 of the Cyberdean Motorsports KTM of Byron Kutzer and Devin Ellis, and also EBB and Flo, Ludwig Zitzman and Christian Zitzman will be joining as a two-man team throughout the race. Hansi Myberg being the only solo driver. Every other team will be sitting with 3, 4, going to 5 drivers in a race. Now, that does make things interesting, as our drivers will have to figure out what strategies will best work for them, how they're going to go in the long run, what's going to be the ultimate charge there through the order, who's going to be able to stand the test of time. Will having more drivers work? Yes, because you got less time in the car, which means you don't get worn out, you get more time sleeping, more time to get back and racing. But counterpoint to that one, less time out the car, less time in the groove, more dropping out and lose out of any pace. So keep that in mind when you got your race going on. That's what you have to think about in endurance racing. Whether having more drivers can be more detrimental than put back together. We got LCW Gilbert saying, all the best of the racing guys. Go Team LTR and Slick Racing, as we watch Jean Massot of Venom Nords making his way around the track with Ludwig trying to gain a bit of time on him. Ludwig doing everything he can, clawing back little by little, hoping that maybe, just maybe, he can get a little bit more pace underneath him and try and open it up. This is our closest battle on the circuit at the moment. Drivers have been splitting up as time goes on, and we will see the ebb and flows throughout the race. So expect to see a bit of alone time while our drivers make their way through. Not a bad thing for all our drivers, as they will need time to concentrate, and you don't want to have headlights blaring at you into the distance and bugging you, especially when it gets a bit darker, but also just so you can get your pace and your rhythm in after the bit of time. But in turn, then you start racing the clock, you start getting tired. You're going to have to start really focusing on getting those mainstay passes. So we will have to see what's going to work for them right here at the Nordschleife 24 for the RaceFace.Pro. Round 1 GT2, GT3 Endurance. Each of the drivers hoping to gain a little bit more time through the race. We'll have to keep a very, very close eye on all the action as we head into the night, because that's where we expect drivers to get a lot more tired. Mistakes starting to be made, as we see Conor Bergstrom actually pulling into the pits, so he is getting his pit stop done. So Conor Bergstrom into the pits. That's going to allow Jean Massot and Ludwig Zittmann to get past him. So Bergstrom into the pits, getting his first pit stop done and dusted. We are down to 16 cars at the moment, as we had one retirement so far, but will be returning, and that will be Hansi Myberg. So Hansi going out, unfortunately, will be really behind the time and losing out a bit of time. Bernard Barkhuizen, someone to talk about, was originally leading out the field and running away, putting 16 seconds within the first 2 laps of the race. Unfortunately, due to a game crash, the car was then put into the pits, had to wait to get a full-on reconnect and get back out, unfortunately dropping down the order 2 laps down on the field. So our leading car, well, was our leading car, now having to play a little bit of a catch-up game, but is still putting in some great lap times. The last lap time was at 8 minutes 16, whereas best lap time was at 8 minutes 15. So still trying to give it everything he can to go for the long run, but whether this is going to affect their strategy heading into the race, this will only be seen tomorrow afternoon right here at RaceFace.Pro, because this is a 24-hour race. The only way you're going to see the results is by seeing it at the end of the race. So everyone's expecting just to try and keep things going, start working your way through. Start of the race, some people opting to put in their slower drivers just to try and save a bit of fuel, hope that they can gain a bit of time and really move forward. But we will find out as time goes on. Ludwig Zetzman and Jean Massart trying to make up a bit of time on one another. They won the closest battle. Second to that is Alan Patterson and Duplessis trying to chase each other down. Q doing everything he can to get onto the back of Patterson, who is all on a monstrous charge at the moment, hoping to gain a little bit of time and close up the 11-second gap to Mark Henbury in the Bentley. So the team PWSR trying everything they can to just get that extra little bit in to move up through the order right here for the RaceFace.Pro Endurance Championship GT3 and GT2s alike. We've only got one GT2 car that is being raced, and I look forward to seeing more and more cars coming in as we got our spectators looking to enjoy and be a part of the race. Drivers hoping to gain a bit more time, looking to stand on the gas and really close up the distance in this monumental race as they battle their way around. As said, we will have a brief time where the stream will go down for a bit. Do not fret. We will be back and rejoining all the action. It's just a very brief time. As our drivers make their way around the circuit, everyone doing whatever they can to ensure that they stand up. We're watching Duplessis catching up to Patterson as it stands. Drivers hoping to gain a little bit of time here. Duplessis right onto the back of Patterson, and Duplessis is going to have to push a little bit harder now if he wants to get it all sorted out. Not going to be an easy run. He's going to have to dig deep and figure out where is he going to go by. Alan's going to be having constant communication with his team, hoping that they can get a little bit more pace underneath them, hoping that it's going to be enough of a charge in the early stages of the race, because it's getting to a point where it's crucial to ensure that the drivers have enough information of this is what the race is going on, this is what we're looking at, how is it all going to turn out as the race continues, what's the fuel usages, what's our tire usages, can we double stint tires is going to be the other option. Maybe going that little bit further into a race can close up the gap. Out in first place though, as it does look like Delta Negative trying to get onto the back of our Team Helldivers, going and closing up a lot of time. Loic Annabelle of the Ominous Gaming now onto the back of the Delta Negative, so expect to see the OG team going after Delta Negative as fast as possible and looking to put a monstrous ding in the run. Not going to be an easy time for them. As Chris Hills now right behind. That is Altman Buertner if the team Kerygma Racing and being lapped, going and lifting off the throttle, allowing the cars to go by, and oh, we got a bit of a crash there. Loic Randebel running out wide, no contact, but did not have enough to turn the car in, goes into the wall, getting some damage on the left hand side, and that will be also hurting the nose a bit. Light damage, and that means your straight line is absolutely flattened for this long straight as you start making your way towards the start finish line, and will be adding a couple of seconds to their race. And we all know that a couple of seconds now means tomorrow you're going to have a very difficult time. Drivers will also be worrying about what their brakes are going to do in the long run as well, as they look to try and get a little bit more time. Mark Henry doing everything he can to close down the gap. Now that the OG car ahead of him now losing out a bit of time, they're going to bop into the pits though, so he's going to try and do a little bit of an undercut at the moment. So interesting to see. Mark Henry comes into the pits to get his car sorted out. And will he be going for a double stint? Will he be handing over? Well, we'll find out. Duplessis going and battling it out with Patterson right on the back of him, doing everything he can. Looks up on the inside, couldn't get the pass just as yet. Patterson is looking to try and get around that hybrid racing as fast as possible, but just can't get the grunt underneath him to get it all sorted out. Duplessis hoping that he can just open up the gap a little bit more now. He has to really put the hammer down. The last lap time was 1:20.2. That was with the overtake. He was 2 seconds quicker than Allen on the last lap, but he needs to keep a consistent 8:19 if he wishes to catch up to Hanbury in the long run of the race. And Hanbury's not going to make it any easier for him. Remember, Hanbury's come into the pits already, so he is just now trying to get himself all sorted out, get back into the race and get racing once again. Patterson, on the other hand, will be focusing on a little bit of fuel saving, a bit of tire management to ensure that he can go the distance as they carve their way through. A little bit further down, Ludwig Zitzman has got Connor Bergstrom trying to make up a bit of ground. Connor miles ahead at this point, but slowly but surely chipping away at the distance. Jean Mazot, though, has got only 3.5 seconds ahead of Zitzman, as he's got Mark Henry right ahead of him. So Henry now trying to get out and get going once again. The Slick Racing car hoping that they will get a little bit more presence on the circuit. 17 cars started the race. We are down to 15 actively going. We do expect to see Hansi Myberg return. That will bring it back up to 17 cars, as he is the only solo entrant into this race. Our drivers hoping to get one step forward, and now we got Patterson carving his way through onto the back of Duplessis, really trying to get a little bit more of a drive. A couple of messages coming in. I even got one from Janneman Press, Cameron De Bastos, all going and saying that they are not participating for this race, as they're getting ready for an international race to represent South Africa in a TCR race out on iRacing. So good luck to them. Looking forward to the grid. Hansi Myberg saying, a car not in the pit anymore. No, Hansi, your car is not on the timing board, so I don't see it as in the pits. It may have been rolled back into its little cubby, and you may need to get the team to just uncover it and get it back out onto the track. So our driver even just listening in to the stream and just figuring out what is exactly happening right here for the Nordschleife 24 GT3 GT2 endurance. This is round one that is being live streamed. We will have multiple parts of the live stream. We will be putting it out to you guys, so don't fret. We've got some amazing racing ahead of us and some long racing ahead of us here tonight, so don't fret on losing out on any of the action. Only gap that is going to be is around about 6 o'clock to 8. We will have a bit of a break here in here in the commentary booth. That allows us to just get ourselves sorted out, and then we'll be back with the racing action. So we will lose the feed for that brief time. That being said, though, we will be having a chat with all the different team leaders and drivers, as the commentary booth is open for the guys to go and join into the interview, and we get to chat to them and find out a little bit more of the thought process. We did have Xavier from the Pandacity team giving a bit of a shout out through a voice note, so good to see that he's coming and having a chat with it. And just a bit of a shout out to the racing team, cheering them on, both cars at the moment. But it does look like that Connor Bergstrom is ahead of Werner Skuman. Now, Werner Skuman is the current leader of the Pandacity ACC team, and unfortunately is a little bit further down than planned. Not going to be smiling all the way to the bank on that one, that is for certain. And we'll be trying to figure out what's going to be for him, as he is sharing the car with Jakob Krobler, Run van der Walte and Mordred Claessens, while they've got the second of the Pandacity teams with Conor Bergstrom, Rick Thomas, Ruan van Veek, Ruan Liederberg, and Nicholas Clark will be joining in as their part of their international contingent. That we've got Nicholas, and with 5-car grid, well, 5-car team, 5-driver team up. Oh my heavens, English running away from me. That is going to make things a little bit more challenging for them in terms of their strategy. And as much as you get time out of the car, it means that you got to get back into the ebb and flow of the circuit, which is never an easy thing to do when you've got to try and remember nearly 179 corners of the circuit. And 179 corners to put in your brain means that you got to make place. So guess who's going to be kicking out? Monza, as we see. That's Altman Boertma into the wall, going and touching the grass, getting a little bit too much more rotation, and that Porsche going and putting its nose firmly into the wall. Catching a bit of a replay of what happened, making his way around the track. I think just put the left rear out onto the grass and turning him around. There we go, and just had that snap. That is a serious amount of damage to the car, and we'll be trying to get that back to the pits in a very, very slow drive. Steering will be bent of note. See if we can get inside the helmet of the car. Not getting it all together. Oh, just bouncing off the walls. And there's inside the car. Just can't even get it to turn. This is just absolutely gut-wrenching for their part. Team Corregna Racing, known for their keeping it out on the black stuff, being one of the drivers that are, or one of the teams that is constant in their pace and consistency being key. Unfortunately, this time around, not having the easiest of runs, will be limping the car back to pits. Gaps all starting to open up through the front, so let's run through the orders as we got Helldivers out in first place, Delta Negative currently in second, followed by the OG team with Loic Randabel in third place. Fourth place is Hybrid Racing, followed by PWSR 24. Luxury Time Racing in sixth place. Seventh is Slick Racing, trying to chase down their fellow teammates. Venom Lords in eighth. Ninth is Ebb and Flow. True Racing, also known as the Cyberdane Motorsports, Byron Kutzer and Devin Ellis in the KTM. First in class, the GT2 still on its way, going and getting a change of drivers as Devin Ellis was behind the wheel now. Pandacity Infiltrate 2 currently making its way around the circuit, with Pandacity Infiltrate 1 right behind in 12th place. Team Tryhard Bandits in 13th, followed by Team Corregna Racing trying to limp a car back to pits with some severe damage. Bernard Barkhuizen of the OG team currently in 15th position, trying to unlap himself and get back into the fight. And Andre Hillis looks like they are out of the running. So 2 retirements so far, but we do understand that one car will be coming back, and that will be Hansi Myberg. So Duplessis into the pits, and it does look like Delta Negative also into the pits. Jason Farmer coming into the pits for the Luxury Time Racing. Some cars trying to get their pit stops done and dusted. Volkswagen getting a little bit more of a pace. Like Granabel going to be hanging out for the OG team, keeping on the drive. Alan Patterson still out on circuit. Will they be double stinting? Will they be single stints? Well, only time will tell in the long run of this race. 22 hours and 51 minutes to go in this 24-hour race. And we can start feeling that drivers are starting to get a little bit worn out. Fatigue kicking in. It's easy to go around 6 corners, 9 corners, 13 corners that they've been used to, but 179 corners later, 175 corners later, it is going to wear you down to the absolute bone. Drivers will be starting to feel the fatigue, not only in their hands and their arms for grabbing hold of the steering and yanking it around as they look to try and gain a little bit of time. Ludwig Zittmann pulls into the pits. Jason Farmer coming out of the pits. That's Rob van der Heever that jumped into the car. So there was a driver change there. So van der Heever now in the vehicle will be getting to grips with the Ferrari around Nordschleife 24. Volkswagen still out on circuit for the Helldivers, hoping that they can go and show off for Super Earth as they deploy down to go and take out the bugs. And I can't remember which was the planet that was unfortunately lost to the automatons, but it will not be forgotten, that is for certain. Drivers making their way onto the Nordschleife, the Green Hell as it was dubbed. 30-second penalty going out to Ludwig Zittmann, and that is speeding in pit lane. Unfortunately, a stop-go 30-second penalty. Next time they come in, they will have to serve that penalty. Stop-go 30 seconds adds quite a bit to the time, and you won't feel it now. Rest assured. No. You will feel it going into the end of the race. As time goes on, you will start to see it, everything starts slipping away. So they've got to make up a 30-second deficit in the 22 minutes and 49 minutes left of this race. Not going to be an easy challenge for any of our drivers, and we'll have the entire team of the Ebb and Flow trying to figure out what's going to work for them in this monumental effort. Volkswagen out in front with Randabel currently in 2nd place, trying to gain a little bit of time, hoping that they can close up a little bit, getting a little bit out of shape though. That did not help in terms of the car starting to slide around a bit. They will have to just try and keep it all in check in the running order. So low ground belt, hoping that he can get a little bit more time underneath him, that they can close up the score, try and get a bit closer to the rest of the field. Everyone doing whatever they can to keep it all together in this incredibly long race as they battle their way around the circuit. Alan Patterson trying to make up some time as well, lying in 3rd place with our big Bentley chasing him down. Of the Slick Racing, the 2-man team hoping to chase down the 4-driver team of the PWSR, with Alan looking to do a double stint at the moment, maybe going for a triple stint to keep his eye into it. Mark Hanbury also will be looking to keep himself out there. Ethan Lacuna changing over into the Delta negative car, so there was a change of driver for them as they maneuver their way around the circuit in the Ferrari 296. And we will get a bit more reports from each of the drivers and teams as time goes on. But if you're interested in joining in the racing and being a part of the RaceFace.Pro action, go and head over to SimGrid.Pro. Go and take a look at the amazing championships we have. Not only do we have our endurance championship that you are watching currently, we do have our GT3 championship will be firing up on the 2nd of May. So do keep your eyes tuned in on that one for some phenomenal racing at the RaceFace.Pro GT3 championship. Lots of stories to come out from that one, and defending champion Bernard Barkhuizen will have to try and keep his way to the front. So Bernard just narrowly taking the championship after a dramatic race at the end of last season. So feel free to join that. We also do have our SA Lube F4 championship that is running along with the RaceFace.Pro GT3 BMW GT3 championship, which is utilizing, that's the Z4 championship utilizing the Z4 GT3 that is also racing. We do have our mini enduro series, and finally on the 6th of May we will be having the RaceFace.Pro 6 hours of Spa out on iRacing, multi-class racing, being LMDH, LMP2 and GT3 will be going out and having a bit of fun there. Looks to be a great race coming up in the future. So tons to do here at RaceFace.Pro, and that excludes just going and having wonderful conversations with the community and fellow drivers, like-minded individuals, petrol heads at heart and at soul, going and chatting. As you see Devin Ellis going and racing to try and catch up to Sean Dunn ahead of him. The GT2 hoping to gain a bit of time over Sean Dunn of Venom. Will be looking to try and get by. He's got a bit more aero, a bit more power versus the GT3 of Sean Dunn. So the Venom team will be keeping a very close eye, but they are racing for overall track position as it stands. The GT2s are slightly quicker than the GT3s, but you don't want it to affect your racing action. Devin Ellis getting a clean pass as Sean goes and runs at the top of the carousel, ensuring that he doesn't get into the way and doesn't want to land up in any problems. Mark Hanbury has got Ethan Lacuna right onto the back of him. Ethan trying to close down the difference between them as they look to get on the gas as quick as possible, running out a little bit wide down the main straight into the toe, pulling themselves along. Our drivers hoping that it will be enough to claw their way to victory in this monumental fight. Falskink and Patterson into the pits, and they're hoping to get out before it all becomes a little bit chaotic, with Randall, Hanbury and Lacuna hoping to close up the distance to currently our top running order on first and second of the likes of Helldivers and PWSR. That is now pulled into the pits. The OG team, Loic Randall, pulling into the pits, so they've got to be very cautious there. Lots of damage to the front of their nose, so I think that might have been in for the pit lane. So let's actually see if we can go back. No, they lost it at the top of the circuit well before, and just carrying it damage all the way through. Oh, second hit into the wall. That's not assisting anything. So lost it way further up of the circuit and had a very, very long drive back to pit lane, as just in that same replay, Mark making his way around, keeping it clean, with Ethan Lacuna trying to also close up the gap. So everyone hoping to gain a little bit more time. PWSR now into second place, right behind the Helldivers. Bernard Barkhuizen though for the OG team, the OG KSR team, now running in 14th position. Remember, they had a disconnect, dropped out, and had to make back some time. A 2-lap deficit as they get past and now starting to close down on Henry Platt ahead of him. Henry Platt, part of the Team Tryhard Bandits, in 13th position. So keep an eye on that 667 car. They are fighting tooth and nail at this point. They did get past the LTR machine, the Ferrari 296, and hoping that it would be a great run all the way down to the sharp end of the field. Conor Bergstrom of the Pandacity keeping ahead. Altman Gurta still out on the circuit after his damage to the Porsche. Oh, gets another snap to the wall, gets a damage. Is that properly bent? It does look a little bit secondhand. How much damage is on the car? Let's see if we can try go in car. Steering's bent once again. That is a lot of damage. That's heavy damage. That is going to be pulling it in the pits and getting some work done on the vehicle. Back up to a race that's happening for 4th and 5th place. We have got our Delta Negative against Slick Racing, the big Bentley, trying to keep ahead of the Ferrari 296. Delta Negative, though, keeping a positive run as they put the charge onto the back of the big Bentley just ahead of them. The Bentley able to take the curbs just a little bit better, but they seem to have a little bit more rotation on acceleration, so they're able to just get the car to snap in and out of corners a bit better. So Mark having to really just lean on the brakes all the way in to the apex as much as they can, not wanting to go over the curbs too much because these curbs are quite steep. And that being said, they are built to stop you from touching the grass and stop you from getting to the wall. But if you do go over them, it bottoms the car out. It goes and pushes the suspension into the bump stops and actually flicks it up, throwing you off into the dirt and sometimes into the wall. As we've got a change of position once again, and this is Mark and Lacuna now currently holding 1st and 2nd position. Heinrich de Vet of 404 of the Helldivers in 3rd place, with Duplessis trying to gain a little bit of time. Tyler Humphreys taking over the car, first time racing with the PWSR team, now in 5th place, part of the Angry Racing team that's transitioning over from the world of real sport into the world of sim racing. Tyler Humphreys hoping that he can keep up the momentum and now pairing himself up with the PWSR team for this 24-hour endurance race, just to get to the end, to go for those positions and see if they can walk away with a smile on their face after 24 hours of racing right here at RaceFace.Pro. GT3 and GT2 Championship. Round 1 being Nordschleife, 24-hour race to just really kick it into high gear. And what was originally set to be the Monza 6-hour, to everyone's surprise, 1st of April was not a joke. We got the Nordschleife 24-hour circuit, long anticipated since the release of the Assetto Corsa Competizione sim, and has been one that's begged for quite some time, almost as long as everyone's been begging for racing on iRacing to have rain on it, and we eventually got both here in 2024. So absolutely tremendous stuff, and being one of the very few DLCs left before the much anticipated Assetto Corsa Evo to come out later this year as well. So Kunos hard at work with that and hoping that they will be able to bring out something incredible for all the racers to move forward. Drivers hoping to get a little bit more run. Hanbury late on the brakes, really sinking it into the corner. Has got the Delta Negative Ferrari all over the back of him, trying to look for an inside pass. Couldn't get it all sorted out. We'll have to button it up right behind through the carousel. Not going to be an easy. You got to hold and feather the throttle, and on the exit get on the power, who does get a little bit upset as the car bounces itself back up to flatten out. The circuit not a completely flat track. It's lots of highs and lows, lots of undulations, massive changes in camber that you've got to go and counter for, which makes it incredibly difficult. And they say if you can conquer this circuit, you can conquer any circuit in the world. It's pretty much, in terms of difficulty, on the same par, if not higher, than the Bathurst circuit. I personally think that this circuit is challenging mentally for the drivers, remembering all where the corners are, where you are on the circuit, as a lot of drivers have the same problem, where you land up trying to figure out where you are on the track, which portion of the circuit, as they all blend together in a race. Delta negative on last lap though was 9 minute 14 as they pushed to try and close down on Mark, who is really just hoping to get more power underneath him, standing on the gas and tries to look up on the inside. Couldn't get it all sorted out, but our Slick Racing Bentley dropping wheel on the dirt, that's compromised the drive. Got a little bit cautious, had to back out of the throttle. That has allowed Ethan Lacuna to go and back at him, so Mark is going to have to get very defensive here if he wants to try and go and fight it out. Not going to be an easy one here. Mark runs him out to the edges of the circuit. All the drivers having to really dig deep here, but Mark battling it out with Ethan will have his team cheering him on, saying go, 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 buddy, you need to keep your foot in here. You need to make a bit of time as they head down the back straight. This is where he is a sitting duck for the slipstream, and where Ethan has everything to play for, including slightly lifting, which he's not going to do. He's going to rather go and put it side by side as they battle their way through. What you can do, though, is focus on just keeping in the slipstream all the way through till you get to the bottom, then pulling out of the slipstream, coming across the nose and slowing the car down. Instead, they're going to drag race it through, hoping he's got the drive, gets it just checked up ahead of the Bentley. Foot on the gas, hard on the brakes, down the gears they go, into the right-hander, switch to left, now straight lining it once again as they head onto the GP Strecker circuit right here at Nürburgring in Germany. And Delta negative for the first time in the race, now leading the charge with Slick Racing right behind them. Hybrid Racing lying in third place, followed by Green Helldive, done by our Helldivers, Tyler Humphreys. So the PWSR though, getting it, missing the brake marker by absolute miles, kept the car out of the wall, but in turn changed the color of his shorts very, very quickly for the PWSR team. Sixth is our Luxury Time Racing, followed by our True Racing, also known as the Sabadine Motorsports in the GT2, our only GT2 entrant, followed by Venom Lords, Werner Skuhlmann of the Pandacity Infiltrate 1, getting chased down by the ominous endurance team. Michael Donaldson sporting that little bit of damage on the car, hoping to gain a bit of time and not having an easy run as he charges his way through. We'll have to see how that works out for him. Number 5 car really going to have to dig deep on this run if he wishes to make it all work for him. But Michael doing a couple of endurance races, even solo in the world of ACC for charity, now hoping that it will be enough to keep himself at the top of the charts as he teams up with Loic Randeveld, Peter Meyer, Bernard Renner and Tristan Herbst as the drivers in that car. Conor Bergstrom though gets a bit of a tank slapper on the exit of the second carousel. He's able to bring the car back, but the rear tyre is starting to scream for mercy in the Pandacity 2 car. The Pandacity and Infiltrate 2 car. He's sharing it with Rick Thomas, Ryan van Wyk, Ruben Lindenberg and Nicholas Crook, who will be just giving a bit of insight, asking how's the tyres looking, what's the fuel going on, what's the strategy as they build up into the next couple of hours of the race. Everyone hoping that they can get that little bit more time, pushing themselves a little bit more as the race continues. So far though, 1 hour and 27 minutes completed in this 24-hour race, 22 hours and 32 minutes to go As said, we'll be finishing up we'll be finishing up tomorrow. Nearly said next week. Finishing up tomorrow at 12 o'clock. After 24 hours of racing, we will be having our broadcast all the way through in the race, and we will be seeing the guys doing battle. There will only be a brief time where we will have the live stream go down for roughly 2 hours from 6 o'clock all the way until about 8 o'clock for right here in the commentary booth, and we'll be back to continue all the racing after 8 right through to 12 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please make sure that you keep an eye out on all the action right here. Go and hit the subscribe button along with the bell notification icon. Leave a like if you're enjoying the racing so far. Also, let us know who are you supporting in this race. A big thank you and a big shout out to SA Lube, one of our sponsors, joining us here at RaceFace.Pro with the partnership for this amazing time. So big thank you to them. But let us know who you're supporting and who you're going to go for. So Alan Patterson going and saying track is brutal, first stint under the belt, and he is happy with that one. Go PWSR. We've also got Nick Bissett going and saying go Pandacity humidifier, and that's low going and saying sorry for bidding the car, Michael, just keep going. So good to see the guys there. Would be nice to have a chat to the drivers that are outside of the vehicle, just to get their thoughts and get their ideas for the upcoming couple of hours left in this race, and who's going to have a fight all the way down to the line as the grid's starting to open up, with a 2-second gap building up between our leader Ethan Lacuna of Delta Negative and Mark Henbury of Slick Racing, trying to make his way through. It's also good to see how the drivers will make their way around the circuit, who will be able to gain the time as we carry on right here in the world of RaceFace.Pro for some phenomenal racing. Ron Duplessis hoping that he can get a little bit more of a run, having a great stint in last season's GT3 championship right here at RaceFace.Pro, now teaming up with the hybrid racing for the likes of the 24 hours on Nordschleife. Not going to be an easy run for any of the drivers as they look to gain a bit of time, carving their way through the order. We'll have to see how it all works out as time goes on. But we will have a chat to the drivers and everyone just to get their thoughts on the circuit, get a bit of an idea of how it's all going to turn out, what's going to be the plan in the long run, who's going to be able to stand on top of the charts for this incredibly long race, what's the considerations that's having to be made to race in a 24-hour race. There's lots of things that you have to do because you're taking some time away from the family, time away from the weekend. It's a huge commitment to be in a 24-hour endurance race. To keep it all together, you're taking your entire weekend, you're putting it to one side, you are changing your entire sleep schedule as well, because instead of going to the bed at the usual time, maybe 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock, depending on what your usual time to head to bed is, you have to also throw that out the door and bear in mind that you will be keeping an eye out on your team. So let's see how it makes its way through. Huge gap in the field, though, as everyone trying to make their way through. Unfortunately, 2 retirements so far, being Heller and Hansi Myberg. Hansi has reported that he will be back at the end of the race to go and have a chat as well. So it's good to see that the guys are doing everything they can to close their way up through the order. Our LTR team still making their way around the circuit with Rob van der Heever now behind the wheel as they try to make up some time. Jason Farmer and the rest having a great battle with the Alan Patterson for the Pro-Am last season in the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship. So good to see that they've come back to have a bit of fun in the long run. Delta Negative currently out at the top of the charts. Michael Donaldson going and keeping ahead of Connor Bergstrom as they try and make their way through. Connor just keeping a good pace at this point. Yakadir in the wall. That is the Helldivers car. Now down the order. Helldivers has now gone into the wall and is properly suffering at this point, dropping down 8th place as it stands. Sean Dunn will be trying to close up the distance, but that Ferrari is bent out of shape properly and took a hell of a knock. Let's see if we could try and catch what happened. Go back roughly 120 seconds. I think this was prior to the impact. As we trying to keep an eye, this is 120 seconds, is limping it around. Yeah, this was definitely after the impact that it happened. And full lock on that steering wheel just to try and get it going. Oh man. So this happened a long way back and they've just been trying to limp this car back to the line. Having one monumental of an accident. Not going to be an easy run at all for them. Hoping that they can try, just get something to work, get that car sorted out, bring it back to the line. And it's just gut-wrenching to see how much steering angle they actually need to keep that car straight as possible in the drive back to the pits. Not ideal circumstances that they're facing. And the Helldivers car was doing so well up until it bit the wall and continued to knock itself down the order. So drivers trying to make their way back and around. Everyone starting to feel how this circuit can treat you and really throw you down the order. So as we come back up after the run, Werner Skuman trying to gain a little bit of time is onto the back of Devin Ellis. Devin Ellis of the GT2 class in the KTM, trying to keep ahead of the Pandacity machine. Not going to be having an easy run there. And yes, we were taking a look at a replay. We were trying to ascertain where the damage came in. Unfortunately, proper knock that threw him down the order. So just trying to see where exactly did things go wrong for our drivers. Unfortunately, it did not work out too well. Our drivers doing everything they can. Devin Ellis, though, opening the door, allowing Werner Skuman to come by. He's going to try to come back at him. So the GT2 now in a race with the GT3 once again. Devin Ellis was in 6th place, but Werner Skuman of the Pandacity now trying to get away from Devin at the moment. Devin transitioned over from ACC to the world of iRacing and hoped that it would be an easier run for him. The OG team trying to make their way around. The OKZ team with Michael Donaldson giving it everything he can to try and get a little bit more of a run as they carve their way up through the order. All the gaps starting to open up, and as Alan said, this is every driver, every team against the track. It's not against one another, it's against the track, the green hell. To survive this circuit means that you have done an absolutely phenomenal job. To go and fight back through it all is never easy. Sean Dunn pulling into the pits. That's going to allow Zetman of Ebb and Flow to get round him. So the little Honda looking to get into that top 10 once again, hoping that the consistency will be the absolute defeat here of the Ferrari. Dunn's car looking a little bit hurt from it, and just getting told that the OKZ team came from Luke Stint. Car is fixed. Just visuals that are around. Okay, so just visuals that need to be updated. Unfortunately, not updating, so just getting word that their car is good. So a big thank you to Loke on that one. There is live timing up. Pit wall is up. If you look down in the description of the stream, you'll see pit wall is up. You can go and click on it, and it is actively running. So you can keep an eye out on all the live timing as well. Mr. Kleinans, who is watching on from the pit wall. So good to have our drivers still putting in a monumental effort at this point. Everyone trying to make their way through. All our drivers hoping to keep up the pace at this point. So far, best lap time being at the top of the charts was a 1:15 set by Brandon Kruger, but Ethan Acuna putting in his best lap time of another 1:15. That was an 8-minute 15. Ethan Acuna doing a 8-minute 17.44 on his last lap, and that was his best lap time of the race. So they are still going and powering their way through. So Delta Negative leads the chart. Slick Racing currently in second place. Hybrid Racing in third place, followed by PWSR and making their way around. Luxury Time Racing in fifth, followed by Pandasti and Infiltrate 1 in sixth. Seventh is True Racing with Devin Ellis behind the wheel, first place in their class. This OKZ Endurance team going and making their way around. Pandasti Infiltrate 2 team is currently in ninth. 10th place is Evan Flow, followed by Venom's Nords. Yokonudia of Team Helldivers that went into the wall a little bit early on. Team Tryhard Bandits, followed by Brandon Kruger of the OG KSR Endurance team. Altman Buerta rounding out our field of 15 cars at the moment. Of Team Kerigma Racing slamming it down the gears as he makes his way around the circuit. So good to see that the drivers are still pushing their way on. As our leader comes by, Duplessis also trying to make up a bit of time. Scratches starting to get a little bit hurt. It's going to be a properly good time for all the drivers and see how this is going to go. At the moment though, we're sitting with roughly about 10 seconds gap per vehicle, other than the Nordia and Brandon Kruger car, which is sitting about 3 seconds of on-track distance to one another, but he is multiple laps down on the rest of the field. 2 laps off the leader, 1 lap off 13th place, and we'll be hoping to try and gain a bit of time. Originally leading at one point, unfortunately dropping out of the running, and we'll have to figure their way back through all the action right here at the RaceFace.Pro Endurance Championship GT2 and GT3. Once again, entries are still open, and you guys can still be a part of all the racing action. Just head to the description down below in this YouTube video, and we will have our simgrid.pro. Find all our different championships. Whether you're a big fan of Assetto Corsa Competizione or enjoy the world of iRacing, you get to see all the racing action right here at RaceFace.Pro, not only on the YouTube channel, but also get to have a bit of fun out on circuit. Feel free to join our Discord as well. Come and have a chat to all our amazing drivers and like-minded petrol heads as you look to gain the upper hand on the rest of the competition for some phenomenal flying. Ethan now making his way around one of our drivers. I think that was, might have been Werner Skuman. No, it wasn't. That wasn't Werner Skuman. Was that Duplessis? No, that was not Duplessis. Just trying to see. I think it might have been Jochen. Yeah, yes, it was. After having repair work done to his car, he's back out and going once again. So good to see that they managed to get the car going. The main thing about this race is never to throw in the towel. You don't want to give up. You don't want to throw in the towel. You don't want to land up in a world of hurt. You want to ensure that you can keep going no matter what. Keep up the phenomenal pace and not get caught out in all the craziness that can happen. It's nice racing at the moment, but we'll have to see how the long race will go. Like I said, it is open to all the drivers and teams to come in and have a little bit of a chat to us here in the commentary box. Give us a bit of insight of how their race is going, what the plans are heading into the night, and what do they think of the amazing circuit. Riddlefield going and saying, nice racing from all the teams, enjoying this. It's absolutely great to have you here and in the spectator stands. Look forward to seeing you out on the track as well. And I look forward to seeing more and more entries coming in, not only for the GT3 class, but I'd also like to see it coming in for the GT2 class, being our newer class, and a class that's got people a bit wondering whether it's going to keep going, whether you want to keep going with it. Is it a car that you can really put it all together with? I'd love to see more people getting involved with the GT2 class. Personally myself, it's even had me going and scratching my head saying, maybe a return to Assetto Corsa Competizione might be a thing for a little team heap together car, especially in the GT2 class of things. But we will find out as time will say. We also have lines open for our drivers to communicate on to our WhatsApp, and we'll be able to play a bit of their news coming through. So when we get that information in, we will be able to play it for all you guys to hear, so we don't even have to have them right here in the commentary booth. They're able to give us a quick update from their team class, send it onwards to me, and we'll play it out to you guys. Remember, if you're doing that, keep it PG-13. No swearing and no bullying. We do listen to the messages beforehand to ensure that it's all in the clear before it goes out live on air, so you can't get nice and clever with it. Nice try though. Devin Ellis now keeping a little bit of pace as he has got the OG team right behind him. Mo Granabel was originally getting caught up in a bit of carnage, having a bit of repair work done to the car. So at the moment it's just visual damage that we're seeing from our side, but in the car it's looking all okay. Devin Ellis in the GT2 trying to keep himself going at the moment. Michael Donaldson, and they are fighting for on-track position as it stands. So Michael Donaldson really trying to lean into getting past that GT2 as quick as possible, utilizing the slipstream. He doesn't have the legs in terms of straight line, but Devin Ellis seems to be a little bit earlier on the brakes, a little bit harder on the brakes, and that allows the Ferrari to close up as quick as possible. So maybe keeping in the slipstream is going to be a good idea, to just follow it all the way through. You're in two different classes, you're scoring in the championship differently, but being stuck behind this GT2 car means that you can go and lift, save a bit of fuel. Maybe that 0.4 of a litre that you needed towards the end of the race when you calculated your fuel and trying to figure out how many laps you're going to do. It's going to be a monumental running, and it's just going to be a trying to figure out how this is going to work. And we got Reno Smith is going, saying good luck to all the boys racing. Go Delta negative. Sorry, was the only green WhatsApp vehicle. So good to see that the Delta negative. Oh, Devin Ellis into the wall, going and running out a little bit wide, getting caught up in a bit of carnage. Will be sporting a bit of damage on that one. Hopefully very, very light, but it will be taking some of the aero out of the car, and we'll have to try and gain a little bit of ground. 15 seconds behind second place is Q Duplessis, who is trying to make up the time to Mark Embry, who has been in a long stint at the moment with the big Bentley, showing off what it can do as he chases down Ethan Lacuna out of our Delta negative in first place. Tyler Humphries in fourth place. First time out with the PWSR team and hoping to make a big impact here today as they make their way around the track. Rob van der Heever lying in fifth place as it stands, hoping to get a little bit more drive to Tyler Humphries. Is way down the order than planned, and will be looking to try and close it down on the rest of the field. Werner Skuman keeping it in sixth place with Devin Ellis, Michael Donaldson, Connor Bergstrom a little bit further down in ninth position, as he tries to make up the time for the second team. That is the junior team that's behind the wheel. Evan Flo of Ludwig Zitzman currently in 10th with 11th place. Team Try Hard trying to close down the gap as well. Bit of support coming in from Productive Panda saying, go Pandassi, what a race so far. Really happy with the guys. Gotta say, it has been a very interesting race. Has been with its own excitements here and there, but also just a strategy coming down to it. 13 laps completed, 22 laps and 10 minutes to go of this race. Going to be a monumental run for all our drivers to ensure that they close up the distance. And who will be able to stand on top? Well, we'll only find out towards the end of the race. We're expecting to be well over 100 laps around this 2.25 kilometer circuit. And it's not going to be an easy run at all for any of our drivers. So everyone having to dig deep at this moment to see what's going to work for them. 25 kilometers of racing, 24 hours of racing, and been in existence for quite some time. Just try and take a look. The winners, let's see who did the most laps around the circuit. What is the amount of laps that our sim racers are aiming to beat by the end of 24 hours? And generally this is a track that you're going to have to really keep it all together with different classes in the 24-hour racing, being GT3, GT2, GT4, TCR, a variety of different vehicles having to try and make their way through and see how much they can gain. So our drivers will need to figure it out. I'll have to go to my calculator and work out roughly how long they can do. What's the longest stint a driver would do? Well, at the moment, Hunty Myberg is doing it all solo. He's out at the moment, but he will be rejoining. So for him, about, or I'd say about 20 hours for a stint. No, generally a stint that a driver can do around the circuit, keeping a constant pace that we've seen from our pro sim races, has been roughly about 4 hours of driving time. Some can push it into 6, but you do start getting worn out quite a bit. So expect 4 hours is your longest that you can stay in the car before you start feeling the negative effects physically on your body. In terms of how far can you go with fueling, you can expect roughly about an hour or just under an hour of run time before you pull into the pits to go and refuel your car. And with each lap being 8 minutes and roughly about 8 minutes 20 seconds as an average lap time, you can go and see how that turns into a difficult one. So every lap you're taking 8 minutes and 20 seconds trying to figure out 175 corners and try and remember where to accelerate, where to brake every single time of the race. And like going to say, you can do 9 laps on a tank. You can go a little bit further, and I'm going to let you know on this one. Change your engine mapping. Now, yes, it is going to take out a couple of seconds off your time, but if you change your engine mapping, you can actually start going and getting it to maybe 10, 11 laps at a push. But that is depending on how much time you're going to throw into it, how far are you willing to go, because that is going to change things with some monster fuel saving. But you can lose up to 2, 3, 4 seconds quite easily. In others, they manage to lose up to 9 seconds a lap. And that can throw you out. Coming out of the pits though, you will be accelerating and you'll have 10 minutes from your stop to drive. So 10 minutes on your out lap after pitting. And that is going to be one thing for all the teams to consider, is how much time can we actually afford to be in the pits? How much time do we need to be in the pits? Let's see if we can reduce that down to a huge amount, especially when you're fighting it out, because you're no longer working in seconds to the drivers around you. Start looking at back of how many minutes am I ahead of the next car ahead of me. In this case, you got Ethan Acuna of Delta Negative. They seeing that they're 10 seconds ahead of the car in second place of Slick Racing, so they need to make up roughly 8 minutes and 9 seconds to be able to ensure they hold first place on their next pit stop. So you need to have an entire lap before you can get into the pits and ensure that you are going to be safe for that time. So you start working in the minutes, not in seconds. And that's where the long game comes in. Nordschleife is one of these circuits that having someone in your ear, having a race engineer or even a driver that's sitting back watching the race and going, okay, let's take a look what we have to do here. How much do we need to remove? What's our timing looking like? What's our fuel usage looking like? And this is where people will be trying to figure it out and trying to see where it all comes into play. For example, if there was a team that was willing to go and say, this is what our fuel usage is, which I don't think there will be a team like that will give us a fuel usage. Would love to see it, but yeah, if we have a fuel usage, we know that these cars carry about 120 liters of fuel. As we see Tyler Humphries off the circuit once again, and looking at average lap times, we'll be able to work out roughly how many stints these cars are going to need to get to the end. But I highly doubt that any of our top running cars and top drivers will be passing that information on, because it's rather sensitive, and it does mean that teams can sort of work around what you're doing. I do think majority of the teams are running the same lap times and same fuel usage per lap, so it wouldn't be as detrimental. But it goes and hits it quite hard. Loic saying that the fuel usage between himself and Michael, just on driving style, is a lot less. So I'm guessing it's roughly about 1.3 liters, 1 liter to 1.3 liters fuel difference between the two of you, because you do have a bit of a lift and coast style of driving, but that was all thrown into disarray when you had the accident and had your 2-minute plus stop in the pits. Tell me if I'm close or not. I'm curious. Let's see if Loic is going to answer on that one, on this OKZ team trying to keep it all together. Now, as said, this is just visual damage that we can see on our side. The car is actually working just fine and has had a full body repair. So unfortunately, with the World of Assetto Corsa Competizione, we see that ghost damage, as I like to call it, lurking on the car after a accident, even a bit of repair work going on, and having a bit of fun. Thanks, Loic. So good to see Loic going and popping in a message, just saying that he's enjoying the racing so far. Had some difficulty in it, and I look forward to seeing what he gets to say a little bit later on. It would be nice to go and have a chat to all the drivers, all the different teams, and just get their thoughts on the circuit. Not an easy thing on the running of this race. Not an easy one to stay at the top of the charts, and I hope to see more and more drivers entering into the world of endurance racing. I've got to say, personally, endurance racing, my favorite way to go racing instead of the sprint races. I do feel that they're too short. They don't give you as much excitement compared to a long race like what we have here, and our drivers will have to think about the long games of who's going to be able to claw their way up to victory. What's going to be the point that is going to stand on the top of it all right here for the Nordschleife 24-hour race. Our drivers hoping to really keep it all going. Tyler Humphreys, as said, new to the PWSR team, part of the Angry Esports team, and making his way through. Do want to point out, though, we do have a move up in position, and that is Brandon Kruger up into 13th position, going 12th position. So he will be heading into 12th place after having a disconnect at the start of the race. Was leading by 16 seconds in the first 2 laps of this race. Unfortunately, all coming to naught come the end of the, well, I'd say first 20 to 30 minutes. The game crashed out on him. So they're trying to make back a 2-lap deficit. Now a single lap behind the leaders, and still putting in some great lap times. Best lap time was at 8 minute 15. Last lap was at 8 minute 18. So is starting to close up. Is on the same lap time as Henry Plitt, along with Rick Thomas, Ludwig Zittmann, Devin Ellis, Michael Donaldson, Rob van der Heever, Werner Skuman, all on the same lap as our car trying to run away from it. Rob van der Heever, though, will see Werner Skuman in the pits, and let's see if he'll keep on the gas. Yes, he will. So the Luxury Time Racing Machine will be trying to get past and gaining a bit of time as they rock their way around the future. So Rob van der Heever keeping it all together for the Luxury Time Racing team, not going and keeping too much eyes on the watch as it stands. 21 hours and 58 minutes left of this race so far. 2 hours and 1 minute has passed of some amazing action right here in the world of RaceFace.Pro for the 24 hours of Nordschleife. It's round 1 of our endurance series, and it's good to have everyone out ready to have a bit of fun. So our drivers making their way around the track, We're going to take a little bit of a breather on my side, and we will come rejoining back of the action as Devin Ellis rejoins the circuit after missing the break marker by 1,000,000 miles. And we'll go on board with Ethan Lacuna for a just short little while as he takes us around the circuit. racing at Nordschleife 24-hour circuit for round 1 of the RaceFace.Pro. We got likes of hybrid racing out in first place, trying to make a bit of time on the rest of the field. Not going to be an easy run for them to try and gain a little bit of time. Second place is the PWSR car, followed by Delta Negative in third. Fourth place is Slick Racing, just ahead of the sister team of Luxury Time Racing in fifth. Then we have got the Honors OKZ Endurance team, Bandassi Infiltrate 1 in seventh. Eighth place, retaking the car after Devon Ellis, is Byron Kutzer of True Racing, and the first in their class, the GT2 class, and they're getting chased down by Rick Thomas in the Pandassi Infiltrate 2 car in ninth. Team Tryhard Bandits in 10th place as they pull into the pits. Ebb and Flow in 11th. Helldivers in 12th position as they make their way around the circuit. And then we've got Jean Mazot in 13th place. Unfortunately, some more retirements coming in for the short time. Hopefully, drivers can get those cars back up and sorted once again. There has been some difficulties, and we have just got told some news from the OG KSR team. This is breaking news that the 667 car is unfortunately out, and that is them running into a bit of problems. Oh man, the OG KSR team unfortunately just running into trouble after trouble, and after trying to bring it back after everything, unfortunately now out of the race so far. Hopefully they can get the car back in, but they will be quite a far number of laps off our running top order, and the drivers that are still going and putting in lap after lap will be looking over their shoulders, going and saying, all right guys, what do we need to do to keep on going? We're 17 laps into this race. We are 21 hours and 35 minutes away from the checkered flag. What is going to be the plan here? How are we going to be making our way forward? We do know that there has been issues with the Kunos servers at the moment, where they have been going down, and everyone's been losing connection, frustration starting to come in there. Unfortunately, it is making things into a rather difficult time, and which means you've got a couple of factors that come into play. As we see Duplessis coming out of the pits, Hybrid Racing scoring a stop-go 30-second penalty, and they will need to go and serve that on their next pit stop. Not going to be helpful in the long run. Yeah, with the servers out though from the Kunos side, what has it been for our drivers and teams? Well, let's take you through a little bit. It goes with this. If you leave the server right now, for whatever point, it disconnects. Computer gives up, you've disconnected, take a bit of a break, let the computer cool down, or that you land up with a disconnect from the ISP. You will land up not being able to get in to the server again until the Kunos servers come back online. Unfortunately, they have been offline for the last 5 minutes, so everyone is just in a bit of a waiting game. So everyone that's driving right now, their sole goal is to try and keep going as far as they can go. So everyone's hoping is going to keep things in check. How far are they going to get into the race? What needs to be done? And where do they need to go for that? So unfortunately, a couple of drivers suffering some problems. We'll have to take a look and say, all right, what do we need to do? Let's keep it together. And this is where you start talking about the drivers having to really concentrate on the consistency. Brandon saying my connection dropped with 5 seconds, which led to a server disconnect, which, I mean, it's just, man, it eats you alive. I can fully understand it, and for it just to come out and have a issue like that is a bit gut-wrenching of note, so it's going to have to try and figure out what can work. Know that there has been a bit of a difficult time at current for all our drivers. They are making their way through, and lots of concerns of, right, what do we need to do to ensure we hold position? PWSR now out in the top of the running with Tyler Humphries leading the charge there. Right on the back of him is Ethan Lacuna of Delta Negative, and he has been in that car since the start of the race, which has so far been 2 hours and 27 minutes. So he's getting closer to that 3-hour mark of a stint racing. So a long time in the car as he tries to keep that Delta Negative going every step of the way. And lying in third place is Slick Racing ahead of Hybrid Racing. That's got a stop-go 30-second penalty, and that will drop them a little bit down the order. Thankfully, a little bit ahead of Rob van der Heever's LTR car. So they will maintain a good pace to that. They're first and second now within nose to tail racing. 1.3 heading into 0.8 of a second. Tyler Humphries now having to keep a bit of a pace against Ethan Lacuna. Ethan is going to try everything he can. Looks to the inside, looks to the outside, hoping that maybe, just maybe, he's going to come back at and get past. But so far, there's been quite a few drivers that have taken that number one spot for a brief moment. Correction, Ethan took over from Crystal's. Yes. Okay, so this is his second stint. Fair enough. Thank you very much. So Chris was here originally in the car, you remember, at the start of the race. So Ethan coming over and taking from that. Do appreciate it. That's coming from Jörg Kleinans in their pit box. Always good to hear from the guys and giving a bit of insight into what's happening. So Tyler Humphries now feeling the pressure. Will have to keep it all together. Throttle all the way down to the ground as you got Ethan trying to go around the outside. Tyler trying to lock down the inside. Backs out of it. They're going to follow nose to tail racing as they get closer and closer to the big straight coming up ahead. Over the hill they go, hard on the brakes to just get it to turn in. Getting these Ferraris to really slide their way around, trying to get onto the gas as quick as they can. Tyler Humphries, the PWSR, still giving it everything he's got to try and power his way through into the carousel. He's opened up a little bit of a gap. Down the gears, feather the throttle, back up, and really give it everything it's got all the way through. Ethan's going to try and close down the distance. He is in the tow. He's in the pound seat come the main, well, the back straight, where it's incredibly long. You utilize the slipstream all the way through, even to the point that what you can do is slightly lift when you're behind the driver ahead of you, just to save a bit of fuel. And also you want to get him at the end of the straight. You don't want to get him halfway through. The main thing with that is if you keep giving it everything you got and suddenly you get to the end of the straight and you're not past the car, or if you just gotten past and he's right on your tail, you can utilize the slipstream and come back at you. So you've got to really think about the long game here, and this is a circuit that does require a massive load of thinking. I cannot believe what's going on for all our drivers as they fight their way through. Everyone hoping to gain a little bit more time in this 24-hour endurance race. Delta Negative cheering on, PWSR going and cheering on the new driver, hoping to open up a little bit of a gap. These two 17 laps in, 0.4 of a second separating between them for first place. And then they've got Chris Heineke in the Bentley Slick Racing trying to close down the gap, 33 seconds behind, but he is ahead of Duplessis, that's running in 4th place, but it's got a 30-second penalty added to his time, so he will have to serve that 30-second penalty. Unfortunately, it will drop him out of the running order as our drivers battle their way through. So everything is relying on the drivers to keep it all in check. down the main straight they go, middle of the circuit. Ethan's going to go side by side. He's going to take the inside line. Humphries on the grass. That kills off his drive though. Bouncing up and down a little bit too much. And gets a swap round. Gives a bit of a cheeky flash there as well. I think maybe just saying to Ethan that, listen, get around me. I'm going to actually lift off a little bit and get you pulled on. So this is going to be a proper run for him. And taking a look, Silver Soul going in, replying from the grandstands. JW did so well. P1, I took over. No force feedback on the wheel. Sort that out. Disconnect. Feel terrible that my technical issues ruined my team's race. So Tyler Humphries into the pits. And is stopped dead. Tyler Humphries is stopped dead at the 50-meter board. Not ideal for him. Ethan Acuna now getting ahead, and this is going to be a proper run for him. So a bit of a scare moment there. So, Delta negative up in front. Duplessis trying to make up the time to get ahead of PWSR. And the hybrid racing trying to get a little bit more on the throttle. Third place is Heineke, who's going to be making up a bit of time. Our timing tower a little bit behind on this monstrous circuit. Cars still trying to keep it going as it stands. 13 teams still in this race, trying to power their way through a 24-hour endurance race, and it's never going to be an easy thing at all. Couple of drivers and teams running into technical difficulties for a variety of different reasons that have forced to retire the different cars, and has been quite a gutting blow to others. Jakob Robler now behind the car, trying to chase down the gap to Jason Farmer, which is about 17 seconds as it stands. Jason Farmer giving it everything he's got, a little bit more comfortable in the Ferrari around the circuit, not afraid to jump the curbs. He's more committed around the corners, has been putting in some good lap times, but hoping to be one of the quickest of his teams. Started out as a great run in last season as he fought out for the championship in the Pro-Am division. So it is going to be a monstrous run for them. Chris Heineke lying in third place, going to be moving himself up our timing board just slightly off at the moment. And everyone just taking a look over to all the different factors that are leading into this race. We do have the main Kunos servers that are down at current. What does that mean? If you are out of the server right now, it means you will not be able to get in. So anyone that's still in the server right now, as of this going out at 5 minutes or 3 minutes to 3 on the 20th of the 4th, they are the only drivers that can keep going. If you're going and hopping out of the game for whatever rhyme or reason, you will lose out and you won't be able to get in until the Kunos servers are back. So whoever's still keeping an eye on the race, whether it be their spotters, whether it be their fellow teammates, everyone having to just try and keep it going, and the drivers themselves will have to also just keep the concentration up at this point as they battle their way around the circuit. And take a look, Tyler Humphries comes out. He is lying in 4th place and trying to keep himself going. Tyler Humphries has taken a few times off the circuit, he's gone venturing off, but seems to have got it all reined in on the Ferrari, a bit more comfortable, hoping to get a little bit more drive underneath him. Chris Heineke in third place in the Big Ben, hoping that he will be able to close the gap down 6 seconds, 6.3 seconds behind Duplessis of Hybrid Racing in second place. But out in front, 35 seconds ahead, is the Delta Negative team doing a phenomenal job as it stands. Really making a monumental effort at this point, running in first place, hoping to get a leg up on the competition. Duplessis hoping that he could close down second place. Third, Chris Heineke. Alan Patterson back in the car, so he's taken over from Tyler Humphrey, so Alan's back in the car, hoping to keep things going. Our Pro-Am driver going and standing on the gas. Jason Farmer in 5th place, followed by Jaco Krobler of the Pandassi. Infiltrate 1, trying to keep himself going at this point. When you see the flag, Michael Donaldson of the OKZ Endurance team now trying to keep his foot on the gas. Our lone GT2 car, driven by Byron Kutzer at the moment for the True Racing, the KTM GT2. Absolutely phenomenal running as it stands. Then you have got Rick Thomas in the Pandassi Infiltrate 2 team going and fighting it out. Just an important note for all the drivers and teams. I know you guys are actively watching the live stream and we'd love to have you guys here. But just an important note to all the drivers and teams, please go to the ACC Endurance Series, the ES General Chat out on Discord, our notice board. There is an important message out to you guys. So it's going to be a proper run for all the cars to try and make their way through. Car 953, that's Altman Burkma, that's Team Kerigma Racing. They are out of the running as well, going and reporting that they are out of the race. They're doing everything they can to get back and going. So yeah, to all the teams, please go and take a look at the notice board in the Discord. Our leader 18 laps into this race, still giving it everything he's got. Ethan Lacuna trying to make as much of pace as possible, with Duplessis lying in second, Chris Heineke in third place, trying to get a little bit more of drive. And let's see who is around. Alan Patterson currently in fourth, Jason Farmer in fifth, Jaco Krobler currently in sixth place, followed by Michael Donaldson, Byron Couture in 8th, Rick Thomas in 9th, 10th is Jaco Kutzer, 11th is Ludwig Zetman, and going a little bit down we have got JD Folskink of Green Helldivers now back into the running, and then Jean Ozot going and battling out. These are currently the drivers we can see in the cars at the moment that are fighting their way through. And what we're receiving from the server of the drivers that are currently in the cars trying to battle their way through. So I see Productive Panda going and asking, is the driver still doing these incredibly long stints? Yes, they are. They're still giving it everything they got, trying to push themselves a little bit more. And this is turning into a race of nutrition for our drivers in this 24-hour race. Jason Farmer trying to close down onto the back of Alan Patterson. Not going to be an easy run for him to make up that little bit of time, and they will have to try and dig deep on it. But at the moment, Kieran Duplessis out in second place. Remember, he's still got that stop-go 30-second penalty, so Chris Heineke in the big Bentley will have the advantage when they go into the pits of 30 seconds, which we're seeing the Hybrid Racing doing now. They're going to dive into the pits. Heineke, currently in third place, will be taking over that and trying to make up some ground. So, a little bit further back, we have got the Pandacity Infiltrate 1 dealing with Michael Donaldson of the OKZ Endurance team. Michael Donaldson right onto the back of the Pandacity car, gets a tank snapper. Oh, Jaco into the wall, bounces back. That is one Pandacity car that's out of the running. Michael Donaldson got it all out of shape and and slid it out. He was able to bring it back, but unfortunately, Jaco Krobler going into the wall and going and breaking the car. That Panda is now going extinct, unfortunately. It is on the watch list and not going to be a happy run on there. Tail just snapping up as they made their way through the corner. Getting a bit of reports that Jan Kleinans that Q is the only one left in the car at the moment. He's just trying to keep himself going. And with the support of his team over the radio comm saying, listen, we can't get anyone else in the car. So we need to just keep you going at all costs. So please make sure that you got someone like your missus around to bring a bit of a cool drink. The team handing cool drinks over to him and saying, right, just keep hydrated, keep going. Let's keep it out there. And keep in those lap times. Yes, we got 30 seconds break now, but Jaco Krobler going to be limping that car back to the pits. Byron Kutzer, the GT2 team, going and fighting it out. Sounding amazing down through the gears, I gotta say. What a fantastic... As I said, I'm not a giant fan of the GT2 KTM. Oh! Ethan Lacuna, Delta negative, into the wall. He's able to bring it back, but he's going to have a bit of damage on that one. That is properly going to hurt him. And now the driver's having to fight their way through. Tyler Humphries, unfortunately, had a screen freeze on pit entry, held the brakes, and then problem was found and came back. So Tyler going and... just being a bit more cautious there and having a proper just get everything back, get yourself sorted and get racing once again. This is going to be a proper run. Duplessis has now thrown away that 30-second penalty and is now back on the charge, hoping to go and keep up the pace. So just a shout out to Tyler Humphries on that one, just holding your brakes in case, not wanting to break the car, not wanting to get any penalties, disqualifications or anything. So I mean, it's going to be a interesting run for the PWSR car, and I'd like to know what exactly went on with your screen that you landed up with this issue. As it would be quite an interesting thing, and with Alan Patterson now in the car, they will try and keep going. So I know there's lots of discussions in the pits happening over at RaceFace.Pro with our admin team, just trying to get a bit of a feel through. And seeing what they can do as they fight it out. Duplessis, remember, he's the only one currently in the car. Alan Patterson trying to keep up the drive, starting to close up on the gap. As they fight their way through. Everyone hoping to get a little bit more time underneath them, a bit more time underneath the belt. Jason Farmer trying to open up a bit of a gap. He is lying in 5th place, the Luxury Time Racing keeping ahead of the OKZ Endurance team. Then we have got the Pandacity Infiltrate 1 currently lying in 7th place. Byron Kutzer of True Racing in the GT2 trying to get a little bit further up the road. As they claw their way through the Pandacity Infiltrate 2 team. Rick Thomas currently in 9th place. Jaco Kutzer of the Team Triad Bandits hoping to gain a little bit of time. Ludwig Zetzman of Ebb and Flow currently in 11th place. Volsking in 12th. Helldivers trying to make up some time, clawing back with all their fights. Brandon Kruger in 12th position, hoping that he can close down on the rest of the field. And Jean Rosart of Venom Nord still doing a phenomenal job. They're running in 13th position at the moment and trying to gain some time after sliding around, really pushing it to the limit at this point and having a really hot run at the moment. Unfortunately, 3 retirements out of the race since the start, and it's going to be a proper run for all the drivers, hoping to get a little bit more pace underneath them in 24 hours of Nürburgring testing, or Nordschleife testing all our drivers, teams, and even the machines at this point, because with the time starting to tick down, it's been 2 hours and 47 minutes of racing, and the chassis are starting to go and flex a little bit more, and it lands up with a proper little bit of run. Everyone hoping to keep things in check. Delta negative going out a little bit wide, trying to bring it back. Remember, they had very slight damage on their car, so it's going to be a monster run for them. Chris Heineke will be hoping to take up a little bit of time. They've chipped in about 49 seconds behind, so they've managed to take some of the gap. It's actually dropped down 10 seconds, so about 39 seconds looking at my timing screen as they make their way through. Duplessis of Hybrid Racing 42 seconds back and trying to close up on the big Bentley ahead of them. The Ferraris running a great run at this point. The Italian Stallions is making their way through the front. 4th place, Alan Patterson of PWSR. Luxury Time Racing giving it a little bit more horns as it stands in 5th place. Michael Donaldson trying to close down the gap on him. There's currently 46 seconds off the back of that car as they claw their way through. I know there is lots of chitter chatter down in the pits, ladies and gentlemen, at the RaceFace.Pro. And see how our drivers going to make their way around the circuit. Everyone needing to figure out what's going to be the ultimate plan here, what's going to be the strategies. We've been getting reports that there has been issues within the main Kunos servers, and that is now affecting all racings. So quite a few people are having these different problems and having to try and figure out how it's going to work. Acuna trying to keep the gap to Chris Heineke. 53 seconds now as the big Bentley making up a bit of ground. As they are going to battle it out. Darren coming in on our grandstand saying this is going to be a race of attrition. I perfectly agree with that. As we know, this is going to be a very, very interesting time for our drivers and our teams. Who's going to be able to keep it going? I mean, we've even seen some of the best take it back to Jimmy Broadbent that was racing last year during the Nordschleife 24-hour out on iRacing. He was in the Aston Martin GT4, where they landed up having 2 problems happen to them. One was a poor little TCR car getting a knock and they got bumped by it, and the GT3 then going and putting him into the wall. Huge damage, and this was all done at night. That landed up with a car being retired within the first 6 hours of the race. They threw the towel in. They said, no, it's no point of carrying on with a bent steering wheel and everything just absolutely done. It really does put so much into it. Yeah, it's one of these circuits that it takes a lot to get it all into check. It takes a lot to commit to a race like this. 24 hours is not an easy time. You take an entire weekend, you take all your time, you take all the effort, you take all the time you spent with the families, and all the time you've put aside into putting into this race, and it can be all ended in a matter of seconds just by one simple mistake. One wheel on the dirt could be between a race win or a DNF, as we know. So I mean, it's just a monumental race. Now the guys go and fight their way through. So let's see how our racers will battle it out. Byron Kutzer of our GT2s, though, still putting in a phenomenal run. Good to see the GT2 out there. I'd love to see more and more drivers actually going and jumping into the GT2s, going and trying out something a little bit different. And we will be keeping an eye on all the action. Now, I know there's been some discussions being had in the background of guys trying to work out what's going to work for them, how they're going to be able to move forward in the race, what's going to be the times to gain. Chris Heineke currently in second place, Slick Racing out in second, Delta Negative in first place, Hybrid Racing in third, PWSR currently running in fourth place. Then it looks like LTR is in the pits, Michael Donaldson of OKZ coming into the pits, Byron Kutzer of True Racing in seventh place, will be gaining a couple of positions there. Pandassi Infiltrate 1 with Jaco Krobler behind the wheel now, trying to open up a bit of time. Pandassi Infiltrate 2 right on the back of him is in ninth position. Jaco Kutzer of Team Tryhard Bandits in the McLaren trying to make up some time. Zetzman into the pits, the little Honda of Ebb and Flow now getting some work done. And then we've got JW Volshank currently in 12th place. 13th is Jean Mozart in Nords. And going to be a proper run. So 13 teams still in it. Unfortunately, 3 retirements in this race. It's going to be a proper run for all our drivers to work out what they're going to do, how they're going to claw their way back up to the sharp end of the field. Everyone's seeing what's going to work for them. Not going to be an easy time. As you see the big Bentley giving it everything he's got. "13 cars, multiple drivers, everyone still battling it out, and still so much on the line with this very difficult race. 24 hours, not going to be an easy thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, while we have got some downtime, going to go and leave you with some of the sights and sounds of our track as we take on look to our leader, Ethan McCuna, making his way around the circuit, and we'll come back with some more racing and fun, and also a bit of a news report on what's happening in the background. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, but I wish I was back with some, well, exciting news, but unfortunately, got a little bit of turn of events. We are going to be red flagging this session. Yes, you heard me right, we're going to be red flagging this session. All the drivers will be asked to return back to pits. We have got the grid prior to the red flag was called, and we will get everyone out on it. So there will be a notice in the Discord, so for anyone that wants to go and take a look, down in the description there is our link to our Discord. Feel free to join it, and please keep an eye out on the Discord for all your information delivered by Race Control. So unfortunately that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Now I know it's a little bit of a blow for everyone, especially through all the monstrous climbs that we've had so far in this phenomenal race, and guys are making their way in. So Delta Negative pulling into the pits, and they will be getting themselves sorted. Alan Patterson going to be the last car to pull into the pits. Our number 24 PWSR car. The rest of the field is in the pits. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we do apologize for what's going on. Unfortunately, we have had a bit of a problem out on the Kunos server sides, where there has been a bit of an issue, and that has landed up with the servers becoming rather unstable right across the Assetto Corsa Competizione platform, and with drivers unable to get in, teams are unable to get drivers in, it will be a little bit rough for drivers to do 20 hours and 52 minutes of racing to battle it out. So we will have guys going out. So once again, we do humbly apologize to all our viewers out there in the world of RaceFace.Pro. We're glad to have you guys here as spectators, glad to have you guys here, and we will keep you posted on any updates that are coming through, and when the race gets started. Not if, it's when, because we're just postponing. It's red flag for now until a set time. We'll restart the servers and go racing, so don't think it's the end. We're just red flagging the session for now, but there will be a restart with time removed. So the time that you see on the top of your screen will be the time that will be left in the race going forward. So keep that in mind. Get ready for racing a little bit later. Unfortunately, that will be that for at the moment. But to everyone, make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit the bell notification icon as well to keep up to date for when we go out, and look forward to seeing you guys a little bit later on when our session comes underway once again. Things happen in the world of motorsport, as we've seen time and time again. Unfortunately, even here at the Nordschleife, it was red flagged because it hailed on the circuit. So take that as that. We'll see you in a couple of minutes, maybe an hour or two. So just bear in mind, from half an hour to an hour, we should have a bit more of an understanding of what's happening, and we will be posting a link once again right here on the channel. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you next time when everything gets going once again.